Welcome to the FaceTime with God podcast. I'm your host, Kay Farrar, and yes, you have tuned in to the right place because we're bringing Christ to the culture and the culture to Christ. Because the gospel's not for old times, it's for all times. So we've got relevant topics, real people, and we're starting right now. All right, family, so welcome back to yet another edition of FaceTime with God, where we bring Christ to the culture and the culture to Christ. So we deal with real people, real issues, relevant topics, and I am so excited this evening because I was sharing earlier that lately every guest we have had, so I hope you keep this record going, but every guest we have had, when they leave, they refer other guests. So that's just how it's been rolling. And just so the audience, so feel free to, if you have somebody that you would like to have on, I will say it's a great forum for authors, for artists, for people who are involved in the community, for people who are doing lots of things. So we can help get your message out. Everything that we do is Bible-based, if you will, Christian-based, but there's so many facets to why we do what we do. And we talk to some of everybody, but there's a reason, and there's messages that we want to get out. And so tonight, we are graced with a guest that was referred by our good friend, Nolan Griffin. This happens to be his sister. So we're welcome to the program, Dr. Gwyn Moses. And I like that name, Moses, because I think we will see how much of a leader you are and great things that you're doing in our community. So welcome.
Thank you.
We are so happy to have you. And we're going to start off, we're going to break the ice a little bit, if that's okay. We like to let the audience kind of get to know our guests a little bit informally. So I gave you a paddle, that little voting paddle. And so I'm just going to call off a few things and just see the variety of things that you may like. If you like it, you can turn the green side to us and give us a thumbs up. If you don't, if it's not something that's kind of like in your wheelhouse, so to speak, you can give us, there you go, the other side. So I have a few things here I'm going to throw out. And let's start with, all right, how about long walks? There we go. All right. How about working with the youth? All right. Working with the elderly? Okay. How about mountains? Okay. Gardens? All right. How about shopping trips? Okay. Not much of a shopper. All right. Good. So we got a little feel for... So we had just 2 thumbs down. Just 2 thumbs down. So I'll do the same thing I did with my prior guest. If you only had a choice between going to a live sporting event, which is not one of your faves, or going on, let's just say, a group that you were a part of, they were doing a bus trip to go shopping. And you could only choose between the two, going to the sporting event or going on the shopping trip. Which one would you pick and why?
Well, I probably would pick the sporting event.
Okay.
Because they have been limited in my life.
Okay.
And I want to see something different.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're open to change, open to new experiences, open to things different. And it's something, new experiences. I believe, I'm just thinking back because we have had quite a few guests. We're still new at this, but we have had quite a few guests. But team, you guys correct me. But I don't know that we've ever had a poet. I believe you are our first poet. Speaking of new things. So it's awesome to have a poet. Tell us a little bit about poetry and how you got into that.
Okay, well, I'll start. In the beginning, there was a word. In the beginning, there was a word from the Lord for me as a youngster. And I believe poetry started in just the training through recitations at Easter.
Okay.
Recitations at Jerusalem Holy Church. So I was a teen, I was like 12, 13 through 16, and I kept a journal with a lot of lines and poems and experiences that were written in prose.
Okay.
And I was scorned for telling lies, and I threw it away.
Okay, wait. So let me back up. These were poems you wrote, but they were fictional or?
Fiction or from real life experiences, but from the spirit that I have within.
Got you. And in other words, they didn't understand it or receive it, so they said you were telling
lies.
Got you. They didn't understand your
this.
creativity or your flowing in the spirit. Got you.
Right. It was not of God, according to
my
parents.
Your parents. Okay. Now, I mentioned you were referred by your brother. Where do you guys fall age-wise? He's older, younger? He's a big sister?
Well, I'll say I'm the baby sister. He's probably going to laugh and frown at the same time because I always say it. And he's like, you always have to put a label on it. But he falls somewhere in the next to the baby brother.
Next to the baby brother. So how many of you are there?
7 of us. It's 3 girls and 4 boys.
I see why you got to think about it. You're like, women, he falls. Yeah, 7. That's a big family. Yeah. And you guys grew up here in Richmond?
Yes, on Griffin Avenue. We're the Griffins from Griffin Avenue. So we always say, who are the Griffites? We are.
Oh my gosh, you got your own little saying. Griffin, is that North Side?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Because I grew up on Northumberland.
Oh,
are you're near
Brooklyn Park across
Brooklyn Park, across the Battery Park.
Yes,
yeah. Mm-hmm. So I went to Norrell.
We did too.
Did you really? So we might have been in Norrell at the same time. Well, we had to have been. Yeah, we had to have been. So you went to, we had the new Norrell and the old Norrell. I'm trying to remember, child. I got them mixed up which one I was at
next. The new Norrell and the old
I think I was in the new Norrell. Were you in the new Norrell?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you been by there lately? This school is
I do go by there.
It does not look great. But anyway. Awesome. So we're kind of elementary school buddies and didn't even know it. Did you know Monica Pollard?
Oh, yeah.
And Sabra?
Yeah.
Did you know Mrs. Cole? Because we used to go to babysitters together. Mrs. Cole, did you know? Anyway, yeah.
Sabra Cole and...
Yeah. Cool.
Good.
I think I said the wrong babysitter's name, but yeah, there was Monica. I said, but her married name was Paula, but it was called Sabra Monica, because it was quite a few of them.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So you started writing poetry. How old were you?
I was in middle school when I started writing poetry, but I wrote my first book in 5th grade at AVNR. It's called A Perfect Fit. And
wow, what led you to write your first book in 5th grade? That's a little advanced.
Well, I had a non-sighted godmother, Miss Bessie Mack, and she would take me every spring and winter holiday with my Salvation Army school voucher to get a brand new pair of shoes. Wow. So that was the book about me traveling with her. And every spring and winter holiday, we would go to Sears and Roebuck. Yeah, so that was my first book. I wrote it when I was 10, but it was published years later.
Wow. And what inspired you to even consider being a writer? Like,
I didn't know not to write. We had probably about 500 books on a wall. And my favorite,
and in your home?
Yeah. Okay. At home. Of course, I was reading by the time I was in kindergarten because we didn't have a TV in our house. Mm-hmm. First time we had a television, it was in 1985.
Gotcha.
So there was nothing but to read and write. Listen to Unshackled.
Isn't that something? Wow. That is so awesome. Yeah. You know, we had from our school, I'm trying to remember her name, back when Obama was president, we had one of our students, fellow Norrell students, was his chief economic advisor. Oh. So we have greatness that came out of that school, and I don't know if you've heard that history, but it is recorded that when they built that school, because like we said, new gnarl, old gnarl, that they built it on top of the trash heap.
Yes.
And I shared that, and I think some people marveled at it last time. I forget who was here. Q, you were here last time when I shared that. And people, and then sometimes it seems far-fetched. Okay, you're going to have it. But, you know, the trash heaps, what they do is they cover it over, you know, with earth and everything. So, but that's what was beneath it. And then they put the school on top. And for me, it was a statement because it was integration when they started building the school. By the time we came along, it was post-integration.
Yes.
But still, to me, it was a statement being made because it was a school built for Black students. And we're going to put it on the trash heap. And I'm saying that to say, but look at the greatness that came off of the trash heap. Okay, we got an author from the age of 10. And for those who, you know, what I'm seeing and what I'm told, and I see her, if this sounds offensive, please forgive me, but I see your humility. I do. I see your boldness too. I do see her boldness, and I see her. I also see her regality, if that is a word. I don't know if y'all saw that. I did when she said, "Okay, I need some help taking these pictures downstairs, and it will not be me." I was like, "Yes, ma'am. I'll take it." Right. So I see the regalness, but I also see humility. Right. But she's a best-selling author.
Yeah.
That came off the trash heap. Like we said, we have Obama's chief economic advisor that came on the school that they built on top of the trash heap.
Yeah.
Yours truly. Somehow, through God's favor and grace, I did get to serve in the governor's office as a deputy cabinet secretary that came from the school that they built on the trash heap. Yeah, we need to write a poem or something about
I will.
the school. I know she will. Built on the trash heap. What does that say to you, madam, best-selling author?
Well, just thinking about that, and it gave me chills, for one, because building upon the earth in places that were not deemed sacred, because trash heap is not deemed as a sacred place, especially for the well-being of children, when they know what will become of some of the children. I believe a lot of my schoolmates have passed, and it may be because of what we didn't know back then of that trash heap.
Wow.
But thanks be to God who gives us the victory.
Yes.
And we come knowing today that the earth is the Lord.
Yes, it is.
And the fullness thereof.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's one of my favorite scriptures. So the earth is something that I write about, I sit with, I speak to, it speaks to me. And so many say, well, how does it happen? How do you hear from the silence that others would assume of the earth?
Wow.
So with myself, as a spiritual person, and I've been known to be spiritual at age 3. My mama said I would tell her happenings before I was born. Things she did, things that occurred in the home and of my siblings.
Wow.
So I was very nurtured.
In other words, you couldn't have seen it in the natural.
Right. So she nurtured it, and she didn't not allow me to experience what I knew that I saw and see and hear and feel that would be warnings to my teachers and neighbors and my friends. And to me, even this day, I get calls often where people give me a situation and say, we know you know what this means. And I often have to tell people, I don't know what it means, but I can share with you what I hear it is to be. And it comes to pass. But I think of that because the earth is fertile ground. Even when there are heaps or trash involved in, like, I'm a conservationist, so I'm always talking about recycling and making anew. But the earth will remain. And seed time and harvest will forever be. And
That's the word.
if the seed doesn't bear fruit, we as humans really, we don't have control over the seed that's bearing the fruit. Even in the natural, you don't have control over the seed that you're planting.
Isn't that something?
That's bearing your fruit.
Isn't that something?
You don't have control over it. So it bothers me sometimes when I know that we so dismiss the power of God that is the life source for us all. So move on, because I would keep going.
Listen, I'm enjoying you continuing to go. I'm serious. I really am. So piggybacking off of what you just shared, Nolan shared a little bit, and if I misspeak, feel free to correct me, but he shared that one of the things that you do is maybe a government agency to go and listen to the land and that kind of thing. Tell us more about that, because it's so interesting to hear.
Well, I am a chosen poet for Virginia Capital Region Land Conservancy, in which I'm assigned land that cannot be developed. It's trusted land where people, when they're no longer here or they expire, they actually endow the land to the state or the government. So it can't be, if it's a farm, it will forever be a farm. If it's a river, it will forever be a river. So I have been tapped to sit with the land, listen to the land, research its story, write its story, and then I go back and I read the story on the land for the land to give me its approval. And I think that's the part that people always say, well, why are you going back to affirm with the land? Well, I hear from the land. I cannot write of the land if I don't have a relationship with the land. So when I sit and I walk the grounds and I speak to the land, I say, well, what is the source here? And I find out where there are medicinals, on land. And I hear where there are graves that we are walking upon daily of land. And I write about it.
Wow.
And the research lately that I write about, because I go back to 17, 18, 20 centuries, and it's nauseating. And I find out that a lot of the prominent names that are incorporated are still operating on the premises of bygone days. So
help me understand. See, this is very new. So tell us, what do you mean by like the current? Because all of these lands are owned by the state.
Where
the ones
they're
that
endowed to the
endowed
state.
to the state,
like,
and the state
it's a trust,
or the poets, like, are you doing this on behalf of the poet organization or on behalf of the state or both, or
it's called Writing the Land Project.
It's a project, guys.
Yeah, and I'm with Virginia Capital Region Land Conservancy and FOLA, which is Friends of the Lower Appomattox River. So I've been writing. This is my third time supporting the effort.
Wow.
So for the state of Virginia, I write, and
you write for the state of Virginia also,
which is the compilations of the state of Virginia. So this is my third time around with that, and also Virginia Capital Region Land Conservancy. I'm national poet, and I'm also in Migrations and Home, The Elements of Place, which is the UK. So I'm international.
In the UK. Now, all of these books, I see 6 books, maybe 5 or 6 books.
These are 6 titles, but as of to date, I have 20 titled works.
And you wrote these books that are on your lap?
I'm included in the anthologies for the Writing the Land Project.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And this another anthology, And I brought the titles that were relevant to what we're talking about.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Any particular, so since we're talking about what you brought, any particular one you want to share anything from?
Well, I'll read one from probably each. Let me see.
Okay.
This is for the international one. I did want to read this one. Inferno Platoons, and this was a selection that was requested, and they needed someone else to write that would actually fill the space of the writing that were needed, and it was exact. And it was amazing. So this one is: trees intertwine, swing rhythmically, intermingle, not calamity, interconnect. One strand of lavender intersect, topples a full green branch, interpenetrate. It's spring, indescribable. 'Tis season for revival. Leaves which dare pay a price for winter's stay. Strangle bark, witness slavish land, darken pistols amid virtuous leaves. Create veils, silhouettes met opening of flowering. As a bullet-ridden soldier, nail-pin body, fall into collapsing beams. Under metallic moonlight, shadows on the riverbank, drag fluttering leaves, condemn bowing, shame regrets. Pools of marsh sucking blue-eyed hibiscus, swollen, misplaced, hope is due to show up only as a surrender. Wow. So most of the lands that I write about has gone through many eras of wars. And
so was that about the Civil War, about slave?
Civil War.
Okay.
But it was relevant to migrations of people moving across lands because of war. Wow. So that was a piece of it. So bringing it near to Richmond, this is Warwick Road. Okay. Another assignment I was given. And it's about war as well. Trees foretell the measure of war. Tree heights push concealment of graves much deeper. Train rails shiver between burly trunks. Swift boxcars screech lingering melodies. Tree muscles uphold vibrant headdresses. Birds whistle and squirrels chatter between shining leaves. Tender woods gather bottomless roots. Mighty dark limbs bend. Bleak odors expel. Meek stems droop. Flowers diminish. Brisk winds sway, revering and cursing. Like soldiers in formation. Trees grieve horrific tales. Height of trees can be seen way down the road, posturing to defend passing turmoil. On guard to collapse modernistic views. Roots pinned together soak journeys of angry souls. The fallen we would never come to know. The height of the trees is the height of war. In Warwick Road, that area was a pass-through for the Confederate Army. 1 Peter 1:24, all people are like grass, and all their glory is like the flowers of the field. The grass withers and the flowers fall, but the word of the Lord endures forever. I have established accountability partners. So when God speaks to me, those three people, I send, this is what I heard, this is what will happen. I said, Mom, I want to tell you something, it was about something that was revealed to me. And she said, Gwyn, let me sit down. Because every time you tell me something, I feel like I'm going to fall out. Aww. So I knew that I had touched something.
So I had this dream that I was with two people who serve in a ministry that I follow. Let's just put it that way. And I know them and I have fellowshiped with them. But in the dream, I was like I was a part of their team, like I was working with them. But they pulled up to me and they were on this cart type thing. Like they were going to an event and they were preparing for the event, and they were like kind of moving and they were getting ready to go to the event. And I saw them and I was so excited to see them. And they saw me, but they were just so busy. And they spoke to me and all. But then they were just hurrying up and moving on to what they were doing. And they were doing like setting up for the event. But I was working as a part of the team. But I was in like a TV truck type thing. Mm-hmm. And they were like showing me how the operation was work, like how the production of the program worked. And that was the end of it. And then they left, and I was there talking to the people. And in my spirit, I was like, I'm a part of what's going on, but I was not with the two ladies that were kind of friends of mine. And that was the end of the dream.
I heard somebody want to reconsider you for something. Wow. You're being overlooked by someone, but somebody wants to reconsider you for something. Mm-hmm.
Colossians 3:23 and 24. And whatever you do, do it with all your heart as unto the Lord and not unto men, knowing that it's of the Lord that you shall receive the reward of the inheritance, because you serve the Lord Christ.